There has been much speculation surrounding Denis Villeneuve's planned third Dune film set to adapt Frank Herbert's sequel novel, Dune Messiah. The acclaimed director is notorious for keeping his creative process close to the vest. However, he has recently teased his approach to this next Dune installment, giving fans a tantalizing glimpse at what's in store for the Messiah adaptation. In an article by Deadline, it covers the Deadline's Contenders London event recently held, which featured a panel consisting of Denis Villeneuve and producers Mary Parent and Tanya Lapointe. The article begins by stating that each of the trio was asked what they hoped audiences would take from the movie when referring to the recent two-film adaptation of Dune. Director Denis Villeneuve stated, "I tried to be faithful to Frank Herbert's vision about the idea of a cautionary tale about being careful with charismatic figures and the danger of blending religion and politics." Though there are many fans who point to changes made in Denis Villeneuve's adaptation, most would agree that the core theme surrounding Paul Atreides and the cautionary tale of charismatic figures is faithful to Frank Herbert's story. The article ends by pointing out that Villeneuve at one point in the event playfully noted that if there were a third movie, the subject of war would be central, saying, quote, "In order to save his friends, Paul has to start a war." Since this Dune Messiah adaptation will focus on the subject of war, this has caused many to speculate what that means, whether it means it will focus on the aftermath of war, or if the film itself will contain more action equivalent to what was seen in Dune Part 2, which Denis Villeneuve did describe as a war epic. Not knowing precisely what the director means by this statement, it has led to increased speculation about how much the Dune Messiah adaptation will further deviate from the source material. Speculation that is not wholly unfounded. Previously, in the wake of Dune Part 2's release, the legendary entertainment CEO Josh Groad addressed Dune Part 3's chances. While his response was optimistic of the prospect of a third Dune film, he did state that a third installment would be contingent upon two things, saying, quote, "I think everybody is very excited and really enjoying this moment. And if Denis Villeneuve gets the script right, and he feels that he can deliver another experience on par with what we've just completed, then I don't see why not." This confirms that first there needs to be an alignment of all the creative stakeholders and the director's ability to, quote, "get the script right." And the expectation is that the third film should be comparable with Dune Part 2, which is interesting considering that Dune Messiah is very different from the story of Dune, and in particular for Dune Part 2 itself, which again, being this war epic, had a lot of action sequences. So this statement does indicate that there could be further deviations to the source material in Dune Messiah in order to present a more general audience-friendly film, which would continue Denis Villeneuve's approach to this dense source material. Villeneuve definitely tried to condense the source material in a way that hopefully fans would enjoy, but that was also accessible to the average viewer. While I do appreciate that to a point, it does present concerns, however, moving forward. Dune Part 2 did feature some dramatic changes to the source material, in particular in regards to Paul and Chani's relationship and also the greater commercial and political landscape. For one, the Spacing Guild was omitted entirely in the climax of Dune Part 2, and the reason for the Fremens going to war is different, as the Great Houses do not accept Paul's claim to the throne, and this was presented as the reason that the Fremen then engage in this interstellar war. Since there are some differences in why the war begins in the first place, there's definitely some expectation of some changes that will have to be made to the events and how they play out in the next film. Many have speculated whether or not Muad'Dib's jihad, which takes place in the 12 years between Dune and Dune Messiah, will in fact be featured more. Even when speculation of a third Dune film began after Dune Part 2's release, there were many articles from mainstream media citing the likely changes that would have to be made to the source material in order to present an experience on par with Dune Part 2, something that's more action-oriented. The Hollywood Reporter, for example, released an article stating, "Dune 3 has a big challenge. The next book isn't that great." further stating Dune Messiah has plenty of fans, but it's a philosophical palace intrigue story without the cinematic scope, epic stakes, and action set pieces of the first novel. The article continues saying that Messiah presents an interesting creative dilemma. The more faithful the adaptation, the less likely the results will be compelling on screen, and the less comparable the film will feel with the first two parts. The expectation is that there will have to be further deviations from the source material in order to make it more entertaining and accessible to general audiences, and again, to create an experience similar to the first two Dune films. It's hard to speculate as to what Denis Villeneuve's plan is for the next Dune installment in regards to the deviations he will already have to make coming off of Dune Part 2's changes to the source material. And it should also be noted that just because the director said that the film will focus on the subject of war, this could simply mean the aftermath of war, the aftermath of Muad'Dib's jihad that raged across the galaxy, which is very central to the story of Dune Messiah. However, I do think Denis Villeneuve will try to incorporate more action into this third film, and that the result will probably be closer to Dune Part 1, rather than the more action-heavy, war-focused film of Dune Part 2. There is definitely a delicate balance to be struck with this Dune Messiah adaptation. There were several significant changes to the source material that will have to impact the story moving forward. The story as it relates to Lady Jessica and her daughter Alia Atreides, for example, as well as Palanchani's relationship. And again, the greater commercial, religious, and political elements of the universe will have to be adjusted and hopefully will end up being more aligned with Frank Herbert's story and themes. At the end of the day, there is still so much that we don't know about this next film, so be sure to stay tuned and subscribe for more updates in regards to this next Dune film. But I'm curious to know what you think about Denis Villeneuve's recent comments about the upcoming Dune Messiah adaptation. Do you have any thoughts or theories about how the director will most likely handle the subject of war in Dune Messiah? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did, and be sure to subscribe for more Dune and other sci-fi and fantasy news and lore. And if you're looking for other ways to show your appreciation, you can check out my Patreon page, where members get access to exclusive content and perks. Thank you all so much for your support, and as always, have a very nerdy day.